Hi, it's Debbie with the Question Queens, and I'm back with part 2. We're talking about the bare minimum requirements for either men or women, and the women have already answered, so now we're on to the men. Let's find out. Now, if you remember, she said men value 2 things: youth and purity. Let's see what the men have to say. And if you haven't hit that subscribe button, do that right now. And also, if you could hit the like button, only because I really want you to, that would be great. All right, let's get right to the video.
So what about you guys, do you think? What is the bare minimum that you feel like is required from a female?
I'll let Drew answer.
Go ahead.
Thanks. Somebody who's honest and forthright.
Cannot hear him.
Somebody who's honest
Somebody who's honest
and forthright.
and forthright.
I think communication is the most important thing. In
Communication is the most important.
Trust.
Trust.
And trust is based on communication, understanding each other. So that's what I've always looked for first and foremost.
So, trust, communication, honesty. Where's youth and purity? I don't really know. I haven't heard that yet.
Just to be honest. Obviously there are the physical elements to start off with, but then, that only lasts so long, and after that, it really is about trust and communication, or communication and building trust.
What about like cooking, cleaning? Do you feel like that's a bare minimum from someone you would take seriously? Like if you're paying for 100% of the dates, let's just say in the early stages, what would you require from the woman?
Require, because you're paying.
That's a good, interesting point. I mean, I'm personally, I'm independent enough to be able to cook and all of that kind of thing. But I think that if a woman isn't able to do things, it's kind of a bit of a negative thing. If she's not able to do that kind of thing. Hold
on.
In a lot of instances, they make a virtue of not being able to cook, not being able to clean, not wanting to clean.
Because he's actually expecting you to be a grown-up and take care of yourself and cook and clean for yourself and be an adult. I love how she is trying to wind her way into the right answer to fit her narrative of stereotyping, because a man is telling her right now, well, I'm adult enough to cook and clean for myself and take care of myself. I'm a grown man. I don't need a woman to come in and be my mother. Okay, let's keep going. I love this guy, by the way.
Yeah, that's right. It's like, sorry, that isn't a virtue, not for me.
It's not a virtue.
I don't expect you to do it, but if you don't do it, then, sorry, what do you do?
So,
Honestly.
So, if you're dating someone early stages, what do you expect from her? Like just like how we talk to the women and they say, I expect him to pay early on. Like, what do you expect? Anything?
I think things have changed very recently as far as expecting, to be taken to Novikov and that kind of thing. That's very, very new. I grew up during the 60s and 70s and sure as hell didn't do that kind of stuff. It was all 50-50. It was all
right.
going Dutch. That's what they called
Back
it.
in the day.
And that's only changed very recently. If a young lady was to expect me to pay, then that wouldn't come as a big surprise to me, but it wouldn't be a positive. It wouldn't be a positive sign.
So for me, with the paying side of things, usually I will pay anyway, like usually. But what I actually want, like this is how I kind of judge it, is for the woman to at least offer to pay half. Right? She doesn't actually have to pay half, but it's just kind of like a respect thing. Like she would just be like, no, I'll pay half, and she doesn't have to. You can just then say, no, don't worry, I'll deal with it. and then that's fine. But it's just like I'd like her to do that.
Yeah.
It's a
In terms of
courtesy.
what I look
It's-
for, yeah, it's 100% physical first. But after that, I actually look at for education, but not in terms of like academic. What I mean is just like educated in manners, educated in life, educated in like I really couldn't deal with someone who's just like uneducated about just how the world works or how things actually are. So that's a big, like a huge turn off for me.
Yeah, that is a very good point.
What about like what do you require that she do if you're taking her out on dates and courting her?
Oh, what's
I
okay?
mean,
So
for me, honestly, it's just like having a good time or be up for doing things, right? If I want to do things, I want her to.
So what she's asking, just to clarify, is if a man takes a woman out on a date and he pays 100% of it, what does she owe him? What does she owe him? Does she owe him anything? What do you expect? If you take a woman out on a date, pay for all of it, what do you expect in return? Or was the experience, the date, spending time with her and enjoying her company and learning each other, was that the reward? Let's see what she has to say or he has to say.
Also want to do those for doing things, right? If I want to do things, I want her to also want to do those things with me. I don't actually require personally like someone to cook or clean. Like I am married and my wife does do those things. She didn't before, so like she had never cooked before. She didn't clean around the house. She was just an English teacher, and the fact was when we lived together, she just started doing those things naturally. So it's kind of the same thing. Like she just decided, okay, I'm gonna help you out. I'm gonna do these things for you.
So why do you think women complain more about settling when we require more from men? Or we can just exist.
Oh, I guess she just skipped over that. So where she was going with it was what do you expect in return for that paying for 100% of a date when you go out with a woman and you pay for it? I'm really curious, men, what do you expect? Women, do you think that there's some expectation? Now, I will tell you there's been times where I have insisted that I paid on a date because I felt, and it was unspoken, and maybe it was just my gut instinct, and I might have been wrong, but I felt just unequal. I felt like there was some obligatory type thing. If he paid, I did owe him something. I don't owe anyone anything, and I don't owe anyone my company. If I choose to give that, that's of my own accord, not because you're paying for a date. So, women, if you're out there and I'm wondering, what do you think a man expects from you if he takes you out on a date and pays 100% of everything? Sex, a kiss, a phone call, anything physical, anything not physical? I'm just curious what the answers are and responses are. And have you been on a date where someone has actually said, well, I expected blank from you. I paid for this dinner. I paid for this date. How many dates does a man have to pay for before he expects something in return? I don't know. All right, so she's on to a new question. Let me back up a little bit. So why do you think women complain more about settling?
And we require more from men. Or we can just exist. Where men have to actually bring something to the table and do things.
Because they're never satisfied.
Go ahead.
Speaking to the mic, sorry.
Because they're never satisfied. I mean, it's in the nature of women not to be satisfied.
Nope.
And so
Can't hear you, buddy.
anyone that they choose to eventually end up with, they will consider that to be settling.
I think maybe they're just always trying to aim higher. Like,
That's the same.
It's like like you said,
the same
unsettled.
thing.
Yeah, but like it is the unrealistic thing, right? Because I do have a different experience. My wife is from China, which have more traditional values, like try get married early, things like that.
Yeah.
And they just don't like do the Instagram stuff. Don't do Tinder really. Like some do. Like I can't speak for the whole of that. But yeah, it's just the Tinder and like Instagram world has changed the whole like view of everything. I feel like.
What do you guys think? Who settles more, men or women?
Okay, I want to go back to what she said about settling. A person that talks about settling has very high expectations. They should also have those expectations of themselves. I personally set very high standards for myself that I do not reach. I strive towards them. Sometimes I make it, sometimes I don't. But, do you believe that women talk more about settling? Or is it a man thing? I don't think it's an either man thing or a woman thing. I think it's a people thing. I think people that have higher expectations will say, I'm not settling. When she said the thing about why do we expect we as women expect so much out of men when all we have to do is just exist? Is there a woman out there that believes that all you have to do is just exist, have boobs, and show up? And that's it. And then he should just bend over backwards, be at your beck and call, do everything that you want him to do, and sacrifice and treat you like a goddess, and that's it. Just because of your existence. If you have that attitude, you need to check yourself. That's all I'm going to say. Because there isn't a man or a woman out there that's going to have a really good, solid relationship where it's an equal partnership. And that is how you think. That's your outlook. Now, what she's saying is that the women in modern day think all they have to do is just exist. And men have to bring everything to the table. I totally disagree with that. If I'm wrong, again, I love to be wrong. Educate me, because I think that that's inaccurate. If it is accurate, let me know. Let me know how it is. Let me know what you've experienced. Leave a comment on there. Anyway, all right, let's continue.
Definitely women.
I feel like.
What do you guys think? Who settles more, men or women?
Definitely women.
Okay, why?
I think women, certain women get to this certain point where they just can't be asked to do the whole dating thing and getting to know someone, so they just tend to settle, or sometimes they settle for the baby daddy that's giving them issues because they have a child together.
This woman is really kind of messed up. All right, so I don't agree with that at all either. I think that men tend to get lonely. And I'm not saying that women don't get lonely too. I mean, we all get lonely. It's human nature. But I don't think that women settle any more than men do. And sometimes, I think sometimes women might have this unrealistic list of things that they are, check box. They check it off the list. Oh, he has this and this and this and this. But he doesn't have that. Nope, next. I've personally talked to so many people in dating, and I've given advice, and I've helped a lot of people, men and women equally. I do feel like that women do make that list, and they check stuff off. Is he financially stable? Is he educated? Does he have a really good job? Is he going to provide security? One of the things, and I probably should save that for another video, but it's the nature of men and providing security. And yeah, I'll do another video on that, because that's a longer topic and I want to get back to her. But she is, how do I put it? She seems pretty self-absorbed, like really self-absorbed. And maybe this is the quote modern woman that Miss Pearly person keeps ranting about. I don't know.
I feel like because women, growing up, we take such, maybe that's why
Who settles more, men or women?
I think women. I think women settle more.
Oh, she cut her off.
Because one, they might feel like, oh, okay, I'm getting older, I'm lonely, so I'll just settle for any guy.
And don't
as
think
well, you know,
that.
we've got a body clock, and you know, we want to have kids and things like that. So maybe a thing where, okay, I'll just settle with this guy so I can have kids, and just situations like that where you just feel like, oh, there's a lot of times you feel like, oh, there's no good men out there, so let me just go for the options that I have now.
As many of you know, I was just banned on TikTok, and we are demonetized on a daily basis on this platform.
Wonder why. All right. Well, anyway. So that's the video. Final and recap. I think that settling is never a good thing, but sometimes having unrealistic expectations of the opposite sex or a partner for life, you're going to have faults. You're going to have, like I went out with a guy that he has a lot of great qualities. A lot. He has a lot of issues. I take him for what he is. We have a lot of fun together when we go out. And I'm not trying to turn him into something he's not. And I'm accepting him for who he is. I think when you go into dating, having some preconceived notion of who they should be can really cause you to have a lot of issues. You're really never going to find that person. Having some like hardcore boundaries. So if you match each other with values, that's the core of your relationship. So you agree with each other religiously. You agree with each other on parenting, on life goals. Those are things that if some guy never wants to get married, that's not code for, oh, I'll get him to marry me. That's you saying, well, I do want to get married, so I don't think we're right for each other. And it's perfectly okay to say that. A man, if you meet a woman and you want to have children, and she's like, no, I'm into my career, I can't even see myself having kids for the next 10, 15 years. But you're ready now. She just showed you who she is, and she doesn't fit you. Like I said in the other video, dating's hard. You're literally trying people on to see if they fit you. And that's very difficult because nobody wants to hurt someone. So I don't think settling is a good thing, but also double checking what your expectations are and if they're actually humanly possible. If you've been dating for 10 years and you have this list of things that this person's supposed to fit, but you've never found him, I'm not telling you to settle, but I am telling you, you might want to adjust your list and go to core values. Core values is where you start. Everything else is up for conversation. So anyway, that's the video. Hit the subscribe button. That is sometimes very difficult to say. Hit the subscribe button and the like button and the share button and all the buttons. And I will see you very soon. Have a good one.